Here we're going to be talking about internet access and internet speed. The exchange of data over the internet happens at different speeds. Speeds will depend on the quality of your cables and your computer processing speeds, the speed of your router processing and transmission, the ISP processing and transfer speed, the speed of the other routers and computers with which you're connecting. Data transfer rate is the average number of bits per unit of time. The bit rate is the bits per second, and that's often the measure of speed of data exchange through the internet. Here is an examples of bit rates that you may check out and the kind of fields where they are applied and how bits per second may translate to bytes per second. Some common upload and download speeds for certain activities. So a kind of Skype video calling and screen sharing may require at least 30 kilobits per second. For download, Skype video calls 1.5 megabits per second. Netflix HD movie, Netflix HD movie 4 megabits per second, and so on. ISPs control connection speeds based on the service plan you've selected. Your bandwidth cap is the top speed allowed by your plan. During peak times, ISPs, internet service providers, can place further limits on speed, a process called bandwidth throttling. Your actual download and upload speed, of course, may vary due to characteristics we mentioned. There are many devices, routers, including routers, data go through during an internet connection. And this implicates the speed of your network. So if your computer is very fast, but your wireless router is old and not fast, then your speed is not going to be that fast. If your computer is fast and your wireless router is fast, but your plan, your ISP plan is slow, then you're not going to be very fast, and so on. So these are kind of, it is important to consider the various devices and connections that are being made. Ping and speed check. Here's a kind of interesting tool to check actually the speed of your connections, and also to check the quality of your internet connection overall. And this can be simply used by anybody when you're having an internet problem. So Ping is a utility software designed to measure responsiveness. In the Windows machines, the program is called Tracert, and in Mac OS, they're called Traceroute. And I'm going to show you actually how to use this in a second. Ping rate indicates how quickly data can reach a server and bounce back to you. Latency is the elapsed time for data to make a round trip from point A to point B and back to point A. Packet loss refers to data that never reaches its destination or gets discarded because it arrives too late. This is something to check when we use these utility programs. Utility means they're already there. You don't have to install anything. It's already installed. So here I'm going to show you how for you to connect and test your own internet speed rates. If you have a Macintosh, you're going to use the terminal program, and you can just search for terminal. If you have Windows, you're going to use command prompt, and you just search for command prompt in your regular search bar of your Windows computer. Once you open the command prompt, it's going to look like this. This is what the command prompt looks like. Command, usually called command line interface. And you might be directed by just your regular standard folder, and that's fine. I think you can do this from any folder essentially. And then if you're using Windows, you're going to type Tracert, which is the name of the program. This calls the program, and you need a space, and then the address of the site that you want to connect to. I'm using msu.edu, but you can use any site to connect to for your testing. In the Mac, the program is called Traceroute. So you type the name of the program, space, so the computer knows that a new word's coming. And the second word has to be the address you're connecting to. So here I type Tracert, and then the site I'm connected to. you hit enter. Once you hit enter on your keyboard, the program starts running. The first word runs the tracer program, and the second is the site you're connecting to. What I just mentioned, you may change that site to any site you wish. So this is then this is going to take a few seconds, and the result is going to show here of all the different routers and computers that the connection to the site has to go through to actually establish a connection to that site. So the first column refers to the number of routers it takes for each packet to reach the final site. So this right here. So it takes 8 routers for it to actually reach the last server that I wanted. So it's not a direct connection. Of course, for you to connect to any site, there are specific routers that your connection will through. Notice that the first one may be your own router. So from your computer, my computer has its own IP address, but the first device that it needs to connect to is the router, which has its own IP address. So this is here, and it takes 1 millisecond on average. The following 3 columns, these 3 columns here, they're actually doing the same thing. They're like pinging, sending a packet 3 times to get an average. So the following 3 columns show how long it takes for 3 distinct packets to go and come back from each router. The program pings 3 times to get an average of the time it takes the data packet to reach each router or device. So it took 1 millisecond every time to get to my router. It took 12, then 13, then 11 milliseconds to get to the next point in the connection. It took 35, 26, and then 23 milliseconds. And if you want to know an average, you sum these up and divide it by 3, and you get the average of how long it takes for your computer to actually connect with a particular other final destination computer. Generally, the more distant the servers, the more routers there will be in between, and the more time it takes to reach the final destination. So if you want to know how many other devices you're connecting through when you make a connection to any other device, then you can check that out here. Internet services. We're going to stop here and continue on internet services in the next video.